virus setup.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Street Fight Radio. It's just me. You have heard updates from unions all around the country. My little special project, I like to talk to activists and organizers around the country and see where things are at for them, how they plan for the future, uh, how they got into it, all of that stuff. And this week, I have a local person, somebody that is I would say a staple of Columbus activism. I see you a lot out there. I see you in the pictures. You definitely show up to stuff, and you're very capable, strong-willed person that I think would make a great interview. So that's why I have you here today. Welcome, Pooja, to the show. Yes.
Thank you. My mother would agree with you.
Yes. You came out to the live show too. It was nice to see you that you came out to the variety
Yeah, it was
show.
fun.
So we're not going to say who you work for because you are here in your own capacity.
Correct. Yeah,
This is
just me.
right. This is not you representing anybody. But what exactly is your job as an organizer?
Yeah. It's one of the greatest jobs in the world, I think, actually. I really get to teach people about power. I really get to teach them how to approach power and confront it and also wield it, right? It's really teaching people how the world works and how to fix the very real problems that I think everyone experiences in their lives, like a shitty boss, right? Or like not having enough wages or not being able to take time off or just like not being able to live the kind of fucking life that we're trying to build, right? So I feel like my job is teaching people how to get to that sort of life.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so you're doing this full time.
I do. Yeah.
You're full time
More than
organizing.
full time, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're traveling for this.
I travel a lot for it. Yeah. I travel all over the Midwest.
So are you meeting with members? Are you meeting with businesses? Are you training? What are you doing?
No, I don't really do a lot of stuff with the businesses. I actually, what I do is I go through and I talk to workers, especially. I talk to folks who are looking to build a union. I talk to folks who are already in our union. My favorite thing to do, though, is to talk to people who are looking for a union and teaching them sort of about labor law and teaching them about the mechanics of what it means to be in a union and then teaching them about solidarity because solidarity is really like the essence of human life, right? And doing this stuff in your workplace and really fucking with the power of your workplace kind of really teaches you a lot about yourself in that respect and also about the people around you. So.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing this show. There are lots of people that will message me and just say something you said like changed my outlook on life, and I'm doing this or that
Yeah.
now. And I feel you are inexperienced, and it is your career to give workers power. Like that's
Yeah.
your goal, and so much of union talk is just kicking rocks at the smoke hut behind the place and saying it'll never happen, and it's hard to get educated on it. It's hard to understand. It's hard to even realize that it could happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's happening at small places, it's happening at large places, but there's a constant drive for this now that has it been going up in recent years, do you think?
Absolutely. I think we're at like some of the highest favorability for unions in like a decade or something. So yeah, definitely. And I think something that's really interesting that's happening in the labor world is the millennials, right? Like a lot of us work at nonprofits. A lot of us work at like sort of dead end officey type jobs, right? We have a ton of student debt. Like we're making maybe 30 to 50 grand, if that, right? But which is like a comfortable living if you aren't also saddled with like hundreds of thousands of dollars of fucking debt. Right?
Yeah.
So all of us have like very aggressively become working class in a way that I think our parents weren't, and maybe I'm just speaking like sort of as a whole, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the wages have been stagnant for so long,
Yeah.
and all the money spends less. There's less cereal in the boxes.
For sure.
And so when our parents had $50,000, it spent like $75,000,
Right.
and it is not the same anymore.
No, it's just not. Yeah.
And it's I think it's just a challenge for even just speculators, which is I think that's what I feel like that's just the skeptical nature of people is what is our demise. That's what people being on the sidelines and just being like, oh, they got enough money. They have a video game or something, we're doing fine. But I guess you are stepping into the role of lifting them up so that they have a voice for their workplace and things like that. Is there a lot of pushback from people? Do you have to deal with that a lot, or is it all you're dealing with mostly folks that are interested?
Well, it's helping them find their voice, right?
Yeah.
It's like letting them know that like that feeling of unease that they're feeling isn't just like some bullshit that they have to ignore, right? So it's basically, I don't know, there's some pushback here and there, of course. Anytime you're trying to make change happen, it's like radically uncomfortable, right? So there's a lot of like, answering people's questions, like walking them through the process. We sort of tell them what to expect in the future, what could happen, what may not happen. I don't know. So that sort of preps them too, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
sorry, you distracted me going
you're
that
fine.
way.
You're on Brian's mic, so apparently you're a lot louder than me,
Oh.
is what they're saying.
Sorry, everybody. I'm also right directly underneath it. I don't know if that matters.
No, it's fine. It should pick you up, but it's Brian is like yells.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if I should. Sorry to do this.
That's okay.
This is live streaming.
This is grassroots.
Where's it at? Go ahead and say hello.
Hello.
All right.
Can y'all hear me?
Okay, hopefully that did something. We'll find out.
We'll see.
Yes. Well, the podcast will sound fine.
Yeah.
All right. How about you move over here?
Okay, we'll do.
Let's just do this. It's fine. This is live streaming. Of course.
Move your things out of the way.
Thank you. Thanks for chipping in.
Always helping.
Hold that.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Chaos. It's fucking chaos over here.
Oh, this is gonna be such a mess. Alright. Switch it up. Alright, they're saying much better, so that feels
Great. Hello, Internet.
Where's it at? Should have updated. So dark. All right. Well,
What can we do?
one last thing.
There's a lot going on right now.
Cool. It did nothing.
That's what we like to see. What if you put the camera over there? Does that work?
No, we have too many wires.
Too many wires.
Let's just roll with this.
All right.
I'm fine with this. I just want to be able to see the chat. Okay. Should we start over?
I don't know.
I mean, the audio will be fine. The podcast audio will be fine. So you
I'm shook. I don't know about you.
So you're a professional organizer. Day to day. Is this me? Yeah.
That is you.
Day to day, you're out there
Yeah.
talking to people about organizing their workplaces.
That is correct.
How did you get into that?
Well, I used to work for a really shitty corporation, right? I moved out really young, didn't go to college, basically had to learn how to take care of myself. And basically took whatever job that was going to pay me enough and give me fucking health insurance, right? Because that's what you need in this world, right?
Yeah.
To exist. So, worked there for like 8 years. My job was to help corporations stop people from getting unemployment. Pretty much one of the lowest things you can do to a worker, in my opinion.
But paid well and had benefits?
Paid enough. Didn't even pay well, frankly,
Yeah.
to do that level of soul-sucking work. You know what I mean?
True.
So yeah, through that work, I watched the CEOs of that corporation, Equifax, which you all are very familiar with, right? He made millions and millions while people that I worked with, people around me, were getting fired because they had to go home to take care of their children because they were sick, right? That kind of stuff was really radicalizing. And then I started listening to Thom Hartmann, right? Listening to podcasts while I was doing that shitty work, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for your service.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. You radicalize the people.
Yeah. You said you were listening to that at the job?
Yeah, typing away at the computer.
Well, yeah, the thing about it is that you kind of feel like jobs are all going to be soul-sucking, or that we all have to do something that is going to make us feel bad about it. So we're going to do something unethical to get by. But like through the show, have told people like, why don't you just try something helpful? Why don't you just try to get a job that you think is helpful?
Just do it.
Yeah, instead of
Yeah.
I mean, if you can go to a soul-sucking job and get by, I think I have no disrespect for that. If you go and you have a stable income and a job and your family is taken care of and you just want to keep it like that, I can respect that. But if you're doing that and you're miserable, like, what's the damn point? What's the benefit? So switching it up makes sense. And so how did you get into this then? How did you pursue labor organizing?
Well, it was Bernie, actually. I got really, really sucked into, the Bernie campaign in 2015 and 2016. And sort of through that learned, I like threw myself into it, and I door knocked in 4 different states. I made hundreds of that, probably made thousands of phone calls, frankly. Donated a lot of my money, and just really discovered through that a passion for doing this work, right? And talking to people and hearing their stories. There's what really threw me into political work was door knocking for the first time. And I'd never done it before. I'd never even made a phone call for anybody or anything. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go knock doors. That's what everybody says matters, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do it. And people really just want to tell you their story. And I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went canvassing for the first time a couple weeks ago.
I saw the photos.
Yeah, and that was, it was not that hard. It was
no,
not
it's great, actually,
There was people that just didn't open the door and said, "Who are you?" Said, "Hi, we're here for Bernie," and they're just like, "Go away." All right, that's fine.
Right.
But no one was in our face yelling at us. No one told us about the downfall of socialism.
Yeah.
We had a weird moment with some Republican lady, but other than that, people just wanted to talk about why they feel the way that they do, and be heard, and or I guess also know, because the Bernie people were they were so excited when they saw us. They were just
you just know it. They just get so happy.
Yeah, and they're they just start turning into a puddle as soon as we start talking.
It is my assertion that Bernie people are the best people, not the worst. So
I agree. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
And they were very excited to tell us, what's going on, why they support it. And I think also it's just nice to commune with people and talk about what you believe and not feel like you're going to get judged. Like you can openly say like how radical you are, you know, politically.
And they're actually probably maybe more radical than you are.
Yeah, you never know. I never know what people are into. Yeah. But
it's a big tent. It's a big tent.
It is. And I mean, you know, Americans are extreme people, I believe.
I agree. Yeah, our culture sort of breeds it, right?
Yeah, it's one or the other, really, on almost
Socialism
everything. Yeah. So you quit the shitty job.
Oh yeah, I did.
Started
labor organizing. I got my first job at a local here in Columbus. And was a rep, so I was like servicing members, like hearing about their problems, trying to help them enforce the contract, you know, because the contract's only as good as you enforce it, right? It's one of our little unionisms.
For sure.
So I did that for a while, and then actually I took a job working nationally with Working Families Party, working on different political campaigns, because I was actually a delegate for Bernie in 2016, so ended up meeting like a whole shit ton of people through that network, going to a lot of trainings, and just like really sort of understanding like how, like meeting the connections that you needed to get into sort of the like movement world, right? Mm-hmm. So I was there up until April of last year when I took this job. And to me, like, I love political organizing. I worked on a lot of really fun campaigns, like mayoral races, city council races, all kinds of shit. I worked on Cynthia Nixon's race in New York City, so that was really fun. But like, what really changes shit, what really changes people's lives is having a union contract, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, everything else is great, but like, can you directly affect your own environment, your own like wages, your own like dignity on the job? If you can do that, that's a level of power that most people in this country have never experienced, right?
Yeah, what's his name? Andrew from Minion Death Call. He worked for UPS.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about some of their setup, and it sounded unreal. He was talking about grievances.
Is he part of the Teamsters?
Yeah. And so he can file grievances against his boss and get money out of it.
Absolutely.
And that's awesome. Like you said, and that's not like a pizza party when you do good. That's in the contract. You can actually file a grievance against your boss.
It's a legally binding contract that says how exactly an employer can treat you or not treat you. It specifies when you get raises. It specifies how much you pay in health insurance. It specifies, you know, if someone sexually harasses you on the job, like what are the options that you have? And if they don't follow it, guess what? You get to keep grieving it until they do it. It's like a real level of control. Like you got to think about it. There's been a concentrated effort by employers, by the right wing, to beat down unions. Why? It's because it gives workers so much unprecedented fucking power that if every worker in this country realized that A, they deserve a union, and B, like, it's not that hard to build a union, it would be game over for fucking capitalism in this country, for real. Or at least, you know, the seeds of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it does seem to be on the rise.
For sure.
Young people are interested in it. I think one of the benefits of social media is the way that information can be exchanged.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I was in high school, there was maybe one left, like, radical teenager that was by themselves reading books.
That was me. It was me in the corner in my fishnets. Yeah.
So, well, okay, let's go there then. How early did you start down this path?
It was really like 9/11 that really like did it for me, because I'm 32, right? I was a freshman in high school when that happened, and like the first thing I ever organized, like I got a bunch of my friends together and we made anti-war t-shirts and like paraded up and down the hallway, and then I got suspended for it, but that was, you know, my first taste of like, oh fuck no, like this is not
causing trouble.
Yeah, I'm a troublemaker by nature.
Yeah,
so,
it's necessary though.
Yeah.
A lot of people just will sit by, you know, sit around and not do anything.
It's never been me.
Yeah. So, and is that handed down from your family, or is?
Well, you know, there's a good, nice communist tradition in Bengalis, right? I'm Bengali. We're from West Bengal, from Calcutta in India. I'm first generation, right? I was born here in Columbus. My parents came here because my grandpa got an engineering job, right? So, you know, they came here, and then I was the anchor baby, as they say.
Great. My first one. I've never met one in person.
Hello.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, this country has been a very perplexing thing for me, right? Because in one hand, it's granted me a lot of freedom and a lot of like escape from a shitty, like abusive family situation that I wouldn't have gotten, you know, in India. But on the other hand, it is so fucking difficult in every other way.
Yeah.
Like, there's good parts, you know, but those get overshadowed, unfortunately, by, like, how difficult it just is to fucking live here.
Yeah.
Like, to be alive.
I mean, it keeps us so busy, like, to the point where we don't have time to do the other stuff. Yeah. I sometimes even think about, like, my upbringing, and, you know, everybody's got complaints.
Yeah.
But my parents were also, they weren't like me. They didn't, like, go live on the internet to make money. They had to be at a place.
Right.
My dad 4 10s a week and sometimes mandatory Fridays.
Yeah, yeah.
And my mom usually had a second job for a few times. She had a second job.
Working class.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if there wasn't really much time to sit me down and, like, to have a lot of moments or to talk about, like, politically where we were at or anything. It's just I was listening to the radio on the way to work and this is what I heard. You know, or the office gossip, things like that. So it can be a challenge. It definitely inhibits a lot of our potential.
There's also, like, that societal thing that we always hear, right? Like, don't talk about politics. Whatever you do, don't bring up politics. Don't bring about blah blah blah. But, like, I challenge that notion. You know, we should be talking to our friends and family and people around us, our coworkers, about things like power, especially our fucking coworkers, right?
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the times right now are going to be very interesting. Just because people aren't under the stress of work. I know there's a lot of working people that are, but plenty of other people got a lot of extra time right now. And, I mean, the potential is there to start organizing more.
Oh, yeah.
And the time is there. You know, we have the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always, you know, we call movements, or moments like this, movement moments, right? Where there's, like, things that are, like, boiling over, and, like, there are people who are being like, no, this is bullshit, but there's, like, a power system that's like, actually shut the fuck up, you know? So yes, I think you're hearing a lot of people talk about it. I think you're seeing it on the internet, seeing it in Twitter, like seeing fucking just people on the street in the grocery stores talking about it, right? Like, it's ripe. You're feeling it, right?
Yeah. And I think that, I mean, the pressure is building, and there's a lot less naysayers. Yeah. I think at times like this, there's nobody to be like, socialism is bad. They're like, I don't care what it's called.
Fucking Republicans are giving us socialism at this point. You know? So.
That is, and that turns everything on its head. This is the clarifying moment, and I think it also, for me, it makes me optimistic to see that. I mean, unfortunately, without this, people want to keep doing the capitalist bullshit. But even if it does fail on it or falls over, there's so many people that are ready to help and chip in. And the mutual aid group on Facebook popped up, and they're getting people in touch with folks that need, like, medicine delivered or food delivered.
For sure. I signed up to do that too.
Yeah. There's a group. There's a group that's feeding. That's all just trying to feed kids, deliver meals and lunches to kids. So it's unfortunate this is what it takes to do it, but
it's beautiful. Human nature is so beautiful. Look at us. That's what I said. You know, solidarity is just inherent in us. We want to be there for each other. We want to help each other. It just, like, capitalism just, like, tries to beat that out of us, frankly.
It is true. And even because even my Republican relatives will once again speculate on this person that's getting assistance or this lazy person that doesn't want to get a job. They speculate, and they're mad and they're angry and they're pissed. But the moment that it's somebody that they know, you know, and, like, my mom, who had a Sarah Palin t-shirt at one time.
Oh, love that.
She quit a job because her second job, a catering job, because her boss was hiring illegal workers and screwing them out of money. He wasn't paying them overtime, and she threw a fit on him. He was paying him, yeah, like under the table and giving him no overtime, and she quit on him. And I was like, that is so weird, because I've never once heard you say nice things about, Mexican people.
Yeah, interesting.
Sorry.
No.
It's just, I'm not trying to tell on my mom, but
is she gonna listen to this later and be like, you little asshole?
She might find it. But that's those moments though where it gets rid of all of the thinking, because being safe inside of your house and having a comfortable job and having regular health care just gives you that extra time to pontificate about the world. But so many people are just told, like, you're actually better than everybody else, like the message in America is like, oh, you have all this excess because you deserve it.
Yeah,
and
you've earned it. You've earned it.
Yeah.
Who the fuck has earned anything? What does that even mean? Nobody has to earn anything. You don't ask for this life. I didn't ask to be born. Neither did you. Why the fuck do I gotta earn anything?
Yeah.
I don't. And what a bullshit concept.
And I don't think I've worked about the same. I mean, I put the same level of effort into whatever I'm doing every single day. I have a certain amount of energy I expend.
Right.
But sometimes I've gotten paid $7 an hour for it, and now, getting paid $30,000 a year doing it.
Yeah, which isn't like some extravagant life.
No, I just found out I have to pay like $4,000 in taxes on it too.
That's such bullshit. Meanwhile, GE paying like $0 in taxes. We are paying them money actually because of all of the subsidies.
Helping them out.
Yeah.
Helping them out.
Love it. Love the system that we've built here. Like, it's definitely working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was I going to say? I guess we talked about how you got there.
Well, one thing you mentioned, there's a lot of like distribution center work happening right now, right? Like Amazon workers, for example. I'm sure you saw the article that was like, oh, like Amazon's gonna add like 100,000 workers here or something, right? Yeah. Those are shitty fucking jobs, right? Non-union, like they talk shit about unions from the very time you start there. You're getting paid maybe $15 an hour. Thank you, Bernie, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're like breeding grounds for fucking like suicides and fucking like mental health problems. Yeah. And in Queens, they just had the first case of coronavirus in an Amazon warehouse. So I think there's a really interesting moment here because we're going to be relying on these workers. We're relying on Amazon workers. We're relying on the Prime delivery people. We're relying on the Grubhub people. There's all these gig economy and shitty, like, Bezos overlord economy employees that exist out there. And this country is going to be relying on them. They have an extraordinary moment of leverage and power here, if you think about it, right? Yeah. This might be the thing that we use to fucking organize Amazon. I don't know. Like, there might be,
sense.
There's something monumental has to happen in this moment for workers and for the working class. And it cannot come from the Republicans. If that happens, we are so fucked. Like, that is it, right? We can't let that happen. It's up to us. Like, we can do it. Yeah. But we just have to fucking, like, grow some balls. I'm sorry to say, all of us, Like, I say that for myself, too. Sorry, not a friendly gendered term, but I'm a union person, and that's how I talk.
Okay. We respect it. We respect all.
Sorry, everybody.
All colloquial dialect.
Yes.
If you're just tuning in to this horrible-looking live stream, we are... I know there's some means people in here. I went to do this live stream. I realized I put her on Brian's mic, which was turned super low because Brian talks at a screaming volume, and so I had to just drag all of the stuff live on the stream. If you missed it, check out the earlier part of the stream where it was a technical difficulty disaster. But I'm in the studio right now with Pooja. She is the labor organizer on here, talking about from her own experience, correct, not for her employer.
Very important.
But if you have any questions, we have the chat open. I would like to see some questions in there, people. So get on it. Let me know if you want any clarifications or any extra information. So what is your idea then? Well, let's world build.
Okay, yeah.
So
that's what I do all the time, man.
Yeah. You are. What is like your final economy looks like? What's your
man.
What are you inspired by? I guess Marx or
I'm here for luxury for all, frankly. That's
Okay.
that's what I'm here for. There's enough money in this fucking world, in this system, and we have the ability to get more. Money is a bullshit concept, right? There's enough to let everybody on this planet have a really good fucking life. And that's the vision that I'm going for, right? Like, I want us to be free from this bullshit working everyday thing. Work is nonsense. Sorry. I want people to be free to exercise their like creativity and do what the fuck they want to do with their lives. It looks different for some people, right? Like some people want to take care of families, for example.
Yeah.
Some people want to make art. Like some people want to write. Some people want to podcast, you know, whatever it is you want to do. I think we as humans should have the ability to do that. And the future that I'm fighting for is a future that allows all of us to do that without having to worry about, can I pay my water bill? Why the fuck do I have to pay for water? What kind of bullshit is that? Like, it's
Yeah.
like a nonsense utility, right?
Yeah.
Why are we paying for electricity when we can generate it from the sun? Like, everything is fucked up and ridiculous about the system we live in. And what I'm fighting for is a complete breakdown of that system.
All right.
And a starting over of, like, people just being people and, like, being allowed to be that way. Because I think you'd see a lot of, like, changes in the fucking world.
Yeah.
A lot of people are sad right now. Why? We're living a life that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah, and especially even after, you know, the Patreon blew up and I started getting paid, you know, along with my wife's income.
Yeah.
It was a crisis for me a little bit, where it was just like I can buy anything I want now. I can go and swipe my card. You know, I could go buy a motorcycle, like with a credit card if I wanted to. I could go buy a used motorcycle and just drive off into the sunset.
What a concept!
But I could also, also am like was very quick to find out that buying stuff all the time wasn't helping anything. It just, I was like, I'm just buying the next thing. Like,
Right.
oh, I want a tent. We're gonna be campers now. Oh, I want this in the middle of winter. Buying, you know, just buying bullshit like that that you don't need just because you can, because it makes you feel
better, alive.
Yeah. Like you're accomplished. I guess. I don't know. But yeah, and I don't think, I mean, there is a few greedy assholes, but most people, what is considered luxury costs nothing to pay for. Like,
I want a full refrigerator.
Yeah,
okay, like I want a
much.
car that runs.
Yeah.
Like a house.
yes, these kinds of things, that the luxurious lifestyle is under $100,000 for fucking
sure,
household
absolutely
to provide that, and there's people that are hoarding all of that, you know.
Yeah.
One person that is
In like offshore accounts that will never, like, why do we allow this?
I heard I was listening to something on the news where they were saying Boeing was buying their own stocks back.
60%, I think, of it.
Yeah.
Or like $60 billion worth of it.
Yeah, they're trying to get $50 billion bailout too. It's like, I don't know, man.
Nationalize Boeing? I don't know. If we're gonna pay for it anyway, maybe we should own it. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, and I think the food thing also, for now.
Yeah.
People are keeping it together. I mean, I have not seen any assholes at the grocery store yet, like filling their carts full of shit.
Really?
Yeah.
Every time I've gone to the grocery store, all of the toilet paper's been gone, all the aspirin's been gone, all the fucking like eggs are gone.
Yeah.
Like what?
You got to go early.
Jesus.
That is the other thing too. Is there's in the groups, there's like in the Clintonville discussion group.
Ah, love that group. What a
It's
fun
a wild
group.
group.
Yeah.
The Target employees are posting like what time you have to get in before you can get, like you have to be there before noon to get toilet paper, you know, things like that.
Yeah, I saw Myers they just started doing like allocated times, right? So like if you're like of a like 65 and older generation, you have to go at like, you know, 11 a.m. or whatever.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But seems very segregated and weird.
Yeah, that's the times we're in.
Yeah, life is gonna be weird from here on out.
But yeah, but it's, I mean, it's also, in a lifetime, it's nothing.
That's true.
It's a finger snap. I mean, it's a few months. It could be the rest of the year. I've heard some disaster people say, and still, like, I mean, I've got like fucking 40 more of those left in me. So I don't.
If you're lucky, right?
Yeah. So let's see in the chat who we got. what have you been talking about?
Hi, Colleen.
Let me sum it up. Let's see here. State government worker. We're legally not allowed to work. We're not. I'm sorry. Congressional baseball fan says.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah, good name. That's one of our regulars. I'm a state government worker, and we are legally not allowed to form a union. What can we do?
Well, some state government workers do have unions. I think SCIU and AFSCME are state unions, so you should probably look into contacting them. Not sure about your particular situation, and don't want to comment on it out of turn. So, I would say look into the unions that do organize state employees and talk to them.
All right. Let's see. Do you know that person that's mentioned in there? Is that a weird question?
What person? Michael Parenti. No, I don't know who that is.
Okay. Someone asked,
Who is that?
have you guys been contacted with Michael Parenti? I have no idea.
Is he a realtor? Is that a realtor?
I don't know. It sounds like a realtor's name.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I'm like, is he part of the partnership?
Let's see.
Yes, change the laws. That's what we're out to do. That is correct.
Change the laws.
That is what we seek.
That's how we can get a union.
Fuck the laws.
Also, somebody said their family works at Walmart, and a customer forced their way into the stock room, was trying to open boxes, and they called the police on them.
Cool, love that. Don't you love that Walmart workers who make like $10 an hour have to deal with that situation?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's cool. Love that.
All of this is, now that you mention
Parenti
it.
is a commie dude.
Oh, I don't know him.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know Parenti. We'll have to look him up.
Yeah.
He's on my list to look up now. 20 books.
Cool.
Okay.
Great.
Check out Michael Parenti.
Free ad.
We will. Yeah, I think I don't remember what I was gonna say.
Sorry, I distracted you.
No,
with
it's
Parenti.
fine. I was trying to look at the questions here. I think we're good. So what about this? Fucking let's talk about it. The Democratic primaries.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I was in Iowa for the Iowa caucus.
Yeah.
And I actually watched a caucus go down. And it is one of the most ridiculous, unbelievable things that exists in our political system. I think ever since I got really involved with Bernie and politics, the more that I learn, the more I'm like, how do we allow this to go on? What is this? Good Lord.
So you're saying you were in one of those gymnasiums where people...
I was in a high school gymnasium with like one precinct in particular in Des Moines. I'd been knocking doors for doing GOTV for the weekend, right? Mm-hmm. And it was insane. Like, it was overwhelmingly like pro Bernie, right? And then it was like there weren't enough people for Joe Biden to be viable, and there weren't enough for anyone except Pete and Bernie to be viable in the precinct that I was in.
Okay.
So all of the like Warren people just went to Pete, and that's when I was like, oh fuck, we have a problem.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, like why is that happening, right? And one thing I couldn't help but notice, and it's something that played itself out over and over in a lot of those early states, right, is that the Latino vote went overwhelmingly to Bernie. Like, I saw it happen in Iowa, and then, it happened in Nevada, and happened, in Texas. And that strikes a really interesting question to me. It's like, we always talk about, like, the POC demographic, like it's specifically like Black folks, right?
Right.
But they're like, I'm AAPI, I'm a person of color, whatever that fucking term means too, right? There's all of these sectors of like people who I've met through a lot of my like labor organizing work that like traditional political organizing sort of just leaves out of the equation. And one thing that I thought that the Sanders campaign has been doing really interestingly is organizing that, in particular, the Latino vote.
Yeah.
And you're seeing how reliably they turn out for him, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty interesting, actually. And I think there's a lot of populations like that. For example, I was just in Minneapolis and I was doing a campaign with Karen folks who are from Myanmar, right? Mm-hmm. Formerly Burma. And they are refugees and they've only been in this country like 5 to 6 years, right? For the most part. And organizing them was like a very interesting like experience, because most people don't even know that they're like a sector of humans that exist, right? And there's no like political organizing that happens with them. There's no like really labor organizing that happens with them because of this. So it's like there's all of these like immigrant populations that now exist in our workforce, right? I forget why I started talking about this, but I just feel like it's important to talk about this, because it's like the Democratic Party does not care about anything about maintaining power, right? And they'll do and say whatever it takes. We're seeing it play out in this primary, right?
Yeah.
They're pushing forward a man who literally probably seems to have dementia. I don't understand how mainstream media is not talking about this.
The answer for that is they've claimed we're making fun of his
stutter.
His stutter.
Yeah, right.
He's actually just stuttering.
I feel like that's so offensive to people who have stutters. Like, I know a lot of people who have stutters. They don't like just like lose their mental like faculties.
Yeah, I mean
They don't just stand there blankly like trailing off into space. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. They don't mix store. They don't just go like back to 1965 and talk about like,
Right.
buying an ice cream cone and stuff.
Right.
They just are. It's a different issue
Yeah.
that we're dealing with. But I heard that early on from somebody told me, he's like, oh, he's actually 100% healthy. And I'm like, he's not. He's not. It's embarrassing. I don't understand why people can listen to it or put up with it but I had the same feeling that you were talking about over the summer when I was doing Planned Parenthood, because I was there with two ladies, and I didn't argue or say, I was just listening, and they wanted anybody but Bernie. That's all they said. They were just saying like, I like Mayor Pete, I like Kamala Harris, I like Cory Booker. They liked every single person. There's like, I just hope it's not Bernie. We hate him.
Well,
I don't know what.
Well, look. I think very clearly it's the mainstream media.
It
right?
is, yeah.
And then you think about the fact that like Bernie's been involved in very open union battles with CNN, for example. He's like been on the side of the CNN union, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't draw you like.
yeah, that's not gonna help.
Yeah.
That's not gonna get you good press.
No one should be surprised by how the mainstream media treated Bernie, because he's their fucking enemy. Like he's the enemy of this entire system.
Yeah.
The mainstream media is their propaganda tool, right? So of course everybody hates Bernie. That's what they're like taught to do. It's manufactured consent. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly what happens.
Absolutely. I don't know if they're going to be able to move forward. I guess some primaries did happen. I don't know. I'm asking you. I don't pay attention, but I think you paid more attention. So I'm actually just using you as an information source right now.
Wouldn't be the first white man. So yeah, I feel like every primary that happens from here forward, and that happened during this coronavirus time, is illegitimate. I think it is a fucking scandal that the DNC, like, here's the thing. So the DNC does not control the elections themselves, right? Like the Secretary of State of each state controls them, even in a Democratic primary, which is fucking unbelievable. But because of that, like, the DNC can't just outright be like, oh, I'm canceling this election, right? But what they can do is provide a lot of, like, pressure. Like, what the fuck is Mike DeWine and John Husted gonna do when, like, you know, the entire Democratic Party is like, we're gonna, like, fuck up your lives with some media? Like, come on, like, we're doing this for the people, right? They could have easily done some of that shit and, like, killed the primary or delayed the primary, whatever it is, in Florida, in Illinois, and Arizona, right?
For sure.
Instead, they just were like, we're gonna actually like damage future primaries by saying if you delay the primary, you get fewer delegates. We're gonna like. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. So that's what they said. So if you delay the primary, you actually get fewer delegates. So you matter less, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what instead the Democratic Party did, which to me is sort of a death sentence, and I think is fucking preposterous.
Yeah.
So
I think everything is lining up to get rid of them for good.
It's gonna be hard. It's hard to do that.
It's a considerable amount of people, and it's a lot of folks that are never Bernie, and just, I don't know, they're conservatives is what they are. I don't know. That's all I can think, is that they don't want to let go of conservatism. They still want to hang out with their conservative buddies or something, or listen to what they have to say, or take their ideas into account like they mean anything.
Right.
That's what I always think. Like, they're they claim all of this hippy dippy,
Yeah.
you know, we love everybody and
Yeah.
we want to support and stand up for marginalized people.
Well, they weaponize identity politics.
Yeah.
You know, identity politics are important, right?
Yeah.
But not when they're like, I need my first insert the blank here
Yeah.
thing. But they still are gonna be pro charter school and like, you know, gonna give bailouts to Wall Street
Right.
and blah blah blah. Like,
Right.
what does that do for me?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, Kamala Harris is part Indian, right? So what does it do for me if Kamala Harris becomes the first VP as someone who's an Indian woman?
Yeah.
Big fucking nothing. Great.
Right.
Cool. Awesome. A
Right.
cop. We got a cop as a VP. Love it. Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess you can wake up, you smile with a smile on your face,
Yes.
knowing that you're represented.
I am represented.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kamala.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to keep it going, except for that they just keep moving forward. Like they just keep
Yeah.
scurrying along. They just keep gathering, pushing the messes aside, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And they're able to get away with so much shit that way because people,
They are.
you know. But it's different times now.
And people are paying attention is also the thing, right? Like people are kind of being like, well, a lot of what's happening is bullshit. Like, and like, why is the Democratic Party pushing to go forward with these primaries? Like, why is any of this happening? I don't know.
Agreed.
People are paying attention, so maybe there's something. But you know, you brought up an interesting point about like a third party essentially is what you're saying, right? The two parties have systematically made it harder and harder and harder and harder. And probably a lot of folks listening to this like understand that, right?
Yeah.
For example, like to get on the ballot, you have to collect signatures, right? To run as an independent, you often have to get 3 to 5 times the amount of signatures that you have to do before running for Democrat or Republican. So, for example, like if you wanted to run as a Green Party person and you wanted to run for city council, you have to get like X number more signatures.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and signatures are hard to get if you've never done them. They have to match. There's all this like technical wonky bullshit with it. So there's a lot of things that the two parties have sort of built into the political infrastructure to make it so that a progressive basically cannot get into power.
Mm-hmm.
There's a long history in our country's political system of like beating back, like especially multiracial populist leftism. It's happened over and over in history, and it's sort of what's happening right now. Like they've discovered another way of doing it, right? Like that's what capitalism really is about: divvying the masses up, using the things that sort of make us who we are. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it is. I also like what you were saying about the amount of power that these people have right now, because it is. You're right. I saw Lyft is like partnering with the government or something. Once again, horrible
Terrifying.
fucking jobs.
Terrifying.
Lyft is a horrible job.
Yeah.
A waste of money, really.
Yeah.
Like you, and you like the people that it always cracks me up when someone comes up in a Lyft that is like a BMW, like
Yeah.
like BMW SUV or something.
Right.
You know, I'm like, this. If you probably could not drive for Lyft and get a cheaper car.
And you'd offset your payment.
Yeah,
then.
you could get a
Yeah.
Honda and not have to drive for Lyft.
Or a nice union-made car, you know. Just
Okay,
saying,
what's
just saying.
the union made cars?
You could get a Ford, you could get a Chevy, a nice American car.
Okay.
Think of our UAW brothers and sisters and
All right.
siblings.
I tried to convince my wife on that. She wasn't having it.
I got a Chevy Volt. I fucking love the thing.
Oh,
it's
I would love
so
to have
great.
one of those.
It's great. Yeah.
That's cool. Is that full electric?
No, it's hybrid.
Okay.
But it also has this crazy like engine thing that uses the gas to reboot the electric engine, so you actually get a longer like gas mileage out of it too.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of fucking magic this is, but it works. So.
What is the average miles per gallon on that?
I don't know how to answer this question.
I don't know if it tells you what you're getting.
It does, but I haven't looked at it recently. I do know that I can get like 8 gallons, and it's usually like 320 miles.
Damn,
yeah, range.
that's
So it's pretty
awesome.
fucking good.
That's
yeah.
really good. Yeah. That's cool. Anybody in the chat, if you have questions, I'm going to probably wrap it up here soon, but talking to Pooja, a labor organizer here in the Midwest, and has a long history of fighting the good fight.
Thank you.
And was there anything that we missed that you wanted to get in when you're thinking about doing this?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I just want to like really say to folks is that like this is a really interesting time to be alive. I think we're all feeling a lot of pressure and a lot of uncertainty, right? But it's also like a moment where workers and like where the working class has like this pretty extraordinary amount of power and leverage, right? It's a good time if you're still like working, which I know a lot of folks aren't. It's a good time to like think about maybe forming a union at your workplace, right? Okay. Like it's a good time to think about like who are the people like I would stand with to try and fight for better, right? There's a whole list of laws about unionism that if you talk to more than one person, you're basically covered by the National Labor Relations Act, right?
Okay.
And what that means is like you can't be fired for union activity. So what I'm saying to you is like now is like a fucking brilliant time to be like, I still have a job, but who knows for how long, or what that's going to look like, or what my job duties are going to look like, or if I'm going to get paid, if I'm going to get health insurance. There's all of these things that often we take for granted. And they can be taken away from us at any point without a union contract. So if there's any doubt in your mind, now would be the time to start a union, all at your workplaces, because that's literally the only thing that we can do to really like take back some fucking power in this country.
Yeah.
So if you have questions or anything, you can like look me up, ask me, like whatever, you know.
Yeah. What's your social media?
So my Twitter handle is at OOHPUJIE. It's Upuji.
Uh-huh.
So that's, you can look me up there.
Yeah. So how about worst job you've ever had?
Oh, wow. I just did this the other day. There was like a Twitter thing that was going on, like what are the different jobs you've had? I gotta say, I used to work at a retirement home serving food. And that was a very difficult job because like you made like $7 an hour. The first thing they showed me was an anti-union video as soon as I was like fucking like 16 or 17. The first thing in my face was like anti-union stuff. Mm-hmm. And then they just locked me in a room by myself and then put on this video and I was like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, like we would have to serve food to folks, right? And it was hard, first of all, because they're older folks. Like, so a lot of them are like, not, whatever. They're going through their shit, right? Yeah. So, sometimes they're dicks to you. Sometimes it's just hard to watch them go through that. So emotionally it was tough. And then like you'd fall all the time and like,
fall?
Yeah, because like you'd have to go in the kitchen and the ground was wet and like, all of that kind of stuff. So that was hard. Just like physically and also like in that way, but almost every like service job I've had, like this is why I like tip the shit out of service industry people, even if I like carry out food or like whatever, because service industry jobs are so goddamn difficult and they're the real like backbone of this country. Like we all depend on service industry workers so much, like the people at fucking the fast food places, grocery store workers, right?
Yeah, I as my income has gone up, when my wife was the only one making money and I was stay-at-home dad, I made all of our food. Yeah. 3 meals a day. I had all the time in the world to do it. As I started getting more caught up in street fight stuff, started making money, we're getting takeout food 3 times a week now. Right. And, spending, $100 a week on it or whatever. Right. Or more. And that is actually assisting me in making my money. Like that's helpful to everybody. These things are helpful to all of us, to all people. Like the benefits of a restaurant to the high earners that deserve all of the money.
Yes. Who have earned it.
Yeah. It's just, and I think, I was saying to Brian too, I'm just coming to understand, I feel like it's like if you have enough money not to have to be forced to make your own food, then the person that's doing it, you like should be the type of person that isn't making enough money to order out or something. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, we're not providing. The person making the food can't buy the food, you know,
Yeah.
that situation.
It's a fucked up scenario. Like, it's a
And-
cycle.
And then people are just, I feel like they look down on them like, oh, you
Totally.
just make food. Anybody can make food. I can make food, but
Yeah.
I make enough money
But
to buy
go
it.
fucking do it.
yeah.
Like all of those assholes that are like, I don't want to pay somebody $15 an hour for flipping a burger. Motherfucker, you go flip a burger and then you tell me whether you think that deserves $15 an hour or not. Because I'm gonna guess that you're gonna say it does. You know?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a jerk in the chat, but I just wanted him to clarify. They want to know if you would vote for a Biden Gabbard ticket.
Quit yapping. Isn't that what you're here for? To hear us yapping?
Yeah.
Would I vote for a Biden Gabbard ticket? Oh God. That's a difficult question.
Are you never Biden?
I'm not never Biden. No,
Really?
No, I'm not. But
You'll do whatever it takes to get Trump out?
Jesus, Gabbard. I'm also not one of those do whatever it takes to take Trump out people. When I think about do I want to vote for Joe Biden, I think the question in front of me, a lot of people say the Supreme Court stuff, right? For me, it's the National Labor Board. Like, Trump gets to elect who controls the labor board, right?
Okay.
So they come in and they can change whatever fucking rules they want about unionizing, about taking worker power, about all of it. And they've been attacking it pretty steadily in like a whole range of different ways. Like, for example, they're extending the amount of time that it takes to run a union election, which lets the employer run a longer anti-union campaign, right? So that is actually harms workers and harms like the work that we want to do, right? So when I think about, do I want to vote for Biden? I don't want to fucking vote for Biden. God damn it.
Yeah.
For all of the reasons, like, but at least he probably wouldn't have Scalia's son be the fucking labor guy, you know,
Right.
Department of Labor guy. Like that, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, I understand. That makes sense.
It's hard, but it's hard for me to be an anti-never anyone person.
Sure.
I also think Joe Biden should be like given the message that he can earn our votes. You know what I mean? Like if he's willing to like to say, okay, I was wrong about Medicare for all. I'm not gonna veto it if it comes through Congress.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like if he takes that shit back, if he is actually willing to like, you know, maybe give back the money that he took from union busting lawyers, like if he's willing to like meet with Sunrise Movement, for example, and try to change his failing like climate plan. Like there are things that he can do to earn my vote. The question is for the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Are y'all willing to earn the vote? No
Yeah.
one's owed it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's
So-
how I feel as well.
Yeah.
And it's odd the way that the Biden people never once considered just joining up with the Bernie people
Yeah.
because we would be the largest we would be a gigantic crowd of people.
Yeah.
It becomes way more uncertain when you go with Biden. Like you are
Right.
going to lose some of those people for sure. And also there's
Like the Latino vote?
yeah.
Are they going to turn out for Biden? Why
Yeah.
would they, you know?
Some will, yeah, I'm
Some
sure
will,
some
yeah,
will.
some will,
But
for
it's
sure.
not going to be, people aren't going to be as excited or
Yeah.
they're not going to be as activated as they were. They're
Right.
just going to feel dejected,
Yeah.
which is where we're at, you know, with the thing.
Yeah.
But,
Love to go into a pandemic election. And then there's a question like, will there even be a fucking election in November? Because now we have a precedent, Ohio,
Yeah.
for just going through that and being like, we don't have an election anymore, question
Yeah.
mark.
yeah, not the best to
So-
have old Donnie Trump in there
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Well, thank y'all for being here. If you want to find more of Pooja, she's on Twitter, OOHPUJIE.
That is correct.
I can't say it out loud.
Ooh, Pooji.
There it is. Ooh, Pooji. We will see you on Sunday. We're taking calls, and I think Brian and I are going to do a live stream of that Block by Block board game on Friday. So stay tuned. There'll be lot more streaming in Street Fight Land. Peace.
Bye.
Oh, goodness. How long did we go for?
I'm not sure.
That was great. You did a wonderful job. They really liked it.
Thank you.
Ow! God damn it.